we got upsets, we got scandals, but don't worry, it's just another week of sports. It's the Extra Point, and it starts right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Extra Point. I'm your host, Griffin Barfield, back here at the panelist desk. I got three excellent panelists with me. I got Brian Warner to my left, David Poley and Toby Corsten to my right. And guys, welcome back. We got a lot to talk about, so why don't we just get right into it? We're going to start off once again with our college football pick'em, and I think once again another incredibly high-stakes week in college football. And we're going to start with your good old Big Noon kickoff. We got the number 3 Michigan Wolverines, which we'll get a little bit more into later on, who will be traveling to Happy Valley to take on the number 10 Penn State Nittany Lions. Guys, who do you have in this one?
Oh, man, I got Michigan. I think that this is just the perfect opportunity for Harbaugh and J.J. McCarthy to just stick it up everybody's nose. Like, you know, they're a good football team regardless of the scandal, right? Sign stealing, we know everybody does it. They do it to, I guess, a larger degree. You know, Connor Stallions won't be there. But I think great offensive line, great running game. Penn State's offense not able to hold with Ohio State's defense. Michigan's defense just a tick below there, if not right there with Ohio State's defense. So I think that this is going to be Michigan by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, you covered pretty much all the stats. I got Michigan as well. James Franklin is 3-16 against top 10 teams.
He's only got one win against Michigan in his career.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see Penn State like coming out and beating a really, really good Michigan team. Even though they're at home, it's a tough place to play. Michigan's just too good to lose at this stage.
I'm going to go right with them. I'm going to go Michigan. I still remember the post. I believe it was Rutgers was the last Penn State game, and they're all saying, is this really your best defense in college football? Because someone made the comment, and then they give up a 90-yard play and like a 80-yard play to Rutgers through passing. Not saying it's going to happen. They came back. They won. I don't see Penn State going in and beating Michigan, especially with how they're rolling right now through all the scandals and everything. I'm going to have to stick with Michigan. They're always good in the regular season. It's the playoffs where I get nervous for them, but I'm going Michigan.
Problem is, you know, it's going to be a big time home field advantage.
Yeah, Penn State is
it is whiteout?
No, whiteout was
not by windup, but it's going to be
it's still a tough.
Oh, it's still going to be
gonna be
nuts.
nuts.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. It's just I'm going to go Michigan.
No, and I've been to Penn State. I've been to those high-stakes games, and boy, it is a tough place to play, especially when it's cold. I think the atmosphere just gets better and better. I love going against the panel, but I have to go with Michigan. I think J.J. McCarthy's proved me wrong across the season. I thought that he wasn't the real deal. He's proved that he has been the real deal, and here's his first big test against a Penn State team. Right before Ohio State as well, I think Michigan needs to get on the right foot, and I think they do so on Saturday. Anywho, we're going to be moving on. We're going to the SEC. We got a top 15 matchup between two-loss teams in the SEC. We got the number 13 Vols traveling to Missouri to take on the number 14 Tigers. Another fun one. Who do you guys like in this one?
I like Mizzou. There's a chance that Hendon Hooker doesn't play. He's a little.
Joe Milton?
Yeah, jeez.
You're good. You're
Wow.
good.
That type of week, Toby?
My bad. Yeah, so there's a chance he doesn't play, but I think home field advantage in the SEC is very important. These two teams are very evenly matched teams. I don't think there's much separating them, so I'm going to give it to the home field with Mizzou.
Yeah, very high chance Hendon Hooker doesn't play. He's currently playing for the Detroit Lions, so can't play on Saturday. No, I'm just busting.
You're telling me there's a chance?
No, I'm with you on Missouri. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it, dude. Mizzou, Brady Cook, he's just having an unbelievable season. He's one of those like underrated transfer project quarterbacks that has just had such a like renaissance. Like Michael Penix, Indiana to Washington, like Bo Nix, Auburn, Oregon. Brady Cook to a lesser degree is Indiana to Missouri, and Brady Cook just throws a really nice ball, like doesn't turn the ball over. Missouri, they're going to be rocking for this is their best season in a while. That place can get going. I mean, we've seen in like the mid 2000s, late 2000s when they had like Chase Daniel in them, they were rocking. So yeah, I don't think Joe Milton is very good. I think Tennessee is soft. I think they can't play good competition, but they'll beat up on the little sisters of the poor or whatever like that. So I'm going Missouri.
I'll go before you because I see your boy. I'm gonna take Missouri as well. I think that they're one of the most fun teams to watch in college football. They're one of the most dynamic teams in the SEC, and I think home field advantage, like you said, college football is huge. I know I went against the home team in the last game, but I'll take Missouri. I don't know if Luther Burden is playing for Missouri, but I love
That's
him.
the only thing, because I think they probably have the best wide receiver duo in college football.
Yeah.
And if Luther Burden doesn't play, it's going to be a lot of weight on the other receivers to step it up.
For sure, but I think no matter what, I like Missouri. I think Tennessee's are frauds, but that's just me.
I'm just going to be honest. Besides Vanderbilt, Missouri's probably like the least watched SEC team that I watch. Not anyone else, just me personally. Like, I just haven't seen a lot of them. So I'm going to stick with the team that I know. I'm going to go
How
with
much
Tennessee.
Mississippi State football do you watch, bro?
I would watch
I
them
don't
more
watch
than Missouri.
any.
I watch Mississippi State more than Missouri.
Fair enough.
But
still watch
like,
Mississippi
it's just because I've never really thought of them as a football school. Like, I mean,
Right.
they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're top 15. Obviously, they're ranked. But I always put them in that same category as Vanderbilt. But that's because I haven't watched enough. So they're probably very good. I just kind of want to go off the panel and just go Tennessee. I just feel like throwing it out there. I'm like, what the heck? Let's throw a shot out. I think they're going to do well. Tennessee's been well. I mean, if they can play like they did in the first half against Alabama, they could play with anyone. I mean, Alabama's doing really well this year. But at the same time, it's the consistency that's the factor. So I'm going to go Tennessee, but we're going to see how this goes.
For sure, yeah. I think the 4 games that we're going to be talking about here, they're all going to be fun ones. They're all going to be, down to the wire. But moving on, let's go on to the Pac-12, and we got 2 ranked teams. I think any team in the Pac-12 is going to put up a fight. We got the number 18 Utah Utes traveling to Washington to take on the number 5 team in the country in the Washington Huskies, guys. Washington come out on top, or do Utah shock the world?
Okay.
I'll go. Washington comes out on top. I mean, a little bit of bias because I lived there for a bit and both my parents went there. But Washington is a very good team. They have the best offense, in my opinion, in college football. But I do think Utah is going to put up a fight, and it's going to be a lot closer than people think it is. Utah is 2-8 against the Huskies the last 10 times they've played them, but those 2 wins came in Husky Stadium, which is where the game's going to be at. So they know how to play in a tough stadium. But I think Washington is just too good to beat them, to beat a good Utah defense.
Yeah, I think Kyle Whittingham, probably one of the best coaches in the country, probably the most underrated coach maybe in the history of college football. I mean, that guy knows how to play, but I'm going Washington. I think that they're on a train headed for a rematch with Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game. That'll be for who goes to the playoff. Michael Penix Jr., probably front runner, if not second guy for the Heisman right now. I mean, my cousin went there. I got a real soft spot for the Huskies. I think that their defense is good enough to play with Utah. It's probably a top 5 defense in the Pac-12. Outside of those, borderline very good elite defenses in the Pac-12, because Pac-12 doesn't play a lot of defense, but they'd probably be around, 5, 4, 5, something like that. They can hold their own enough against Bryson Barnes. I've been fading Bryson Barnes all year. I'll continue to do it right now.
I wish I would have went first just because it would have balanced it out better. But I could not write capital enough, and I don't have an eraser. I forgot to grab mine today. I'm going to Washington, all right? From going from Missouri, which is one of the, like I said, one of the least teams I watched, to Washington. Washington's probably the most, outside of Clemson football, the team that I've watched the most throughout this year. I love how they play football. It's not always pretty. You watched Arizona State. I mean, obviously that was not a pretty game, but they came through. They always find a way to win. I'm really liking them. I love Utah. Utah's a great school. Utah's been really good this year, but I just have a feeling with home field advantage, I mean, that gets crazy. You talk about a crazy atmosphere. Washington has become a very crazy atmosphere.
Top 5 place to play in college football.
I mean, it's
top
always
5
been,
hardest.
hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been emphasized now that they're ranked, but
Yeah.
I'm going Washington Huskies. I think
Back
they're
when they
gonna-
were good,
I think
back
they're
in
gonna
the
win.
80s and 90s,
Probably
that was a tough
6,
place.
7 points. I guess.
Yeah, I think Washington and Oregon are on a crash course for this Pac-12 championship, but Utah, you can't sleep on them, because as soon as you start overlooking them, they're gonna punch you in the mouth and do that. But I just think Washington's offense, like each and every one of everybody said, it's probably one of the best offenses in football. I like their duo of of receivers. I think that they're the best receiving duo. I know we were talking about Missouri a little bit, but I mean, you got to contend with
Romeo
them.
Dunzy and the other guy. I forget his name right now.
The other, I don't know his name.
Polk. Jalen Polk.
Jalen Polk. That's right. But I think Washington, I love them. I love watching them. They're such a fun team to watch. I'm just really looking forward to this Washington-Oregon rematch in the Pac-12 championship, but can't overlook them.
I must say there's now become a really good story with the defensive player. I can't remember, number 4.
Oh,
Edge. His father had passed away,
died.
And he went back and they won last week. And like, I'm
He
kind of
played great too. He had that strip sack. Yeah.
I'm kind of rooting for him. Now, I was rooting for him before, but like now I'm really rooting for him. I'm like,
Right.
you gotta get there.
I always like rooting for a team.
Bounce
that
out
like
FSU.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, I'll take Washington. But one more game before we get into our kind of like the big heated question. We got the top 10 SEC matchup and big college football playoff implications, big SEC championship implications. It's the number 9 Ole Miss Rebels traveling to Athens, just an hour away from here, to take on the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. I think College Game Day is for this game. Who do you guys like in this one?
I was able to write my name pretty quick because I didn't do the capital letters, but I'm going Georgia. It's just tough to go against them, especially at home. I mean, they've just proven it time after time. We're counting them out. They're not really being talked about as much as they have been in the past, probably specifically because so much talent is left. But they're still undefeated. I mean, they're going in there. They're winning games. Ole Miss is a very tough opponent to play. It's a top 10 ranked matchup. But being at home, I think Georgia's going to go. And personally, like, I don't know. I didn't really see why Ohio State should be ranked 1. I would have saw Michigan maybe, but like Ohio State kind of shocked me. But I'm going Georgia.
I'm going Georgia as well. Back to your Ohio State comment, they just have a better resume. They have a couple more top 25 wins.
So I was curious because it's like I woke up and
I don't think any of the top 4, like I don't know if any of the top 4 teams are like a great college football team. I don't think there is a great college football team this year.
probably the closest it's been in years.
Yeah. But I got Georgia. They know how to win. They haven't lost in the last like 2 years except for a national title. They're good. At home, night game, SEC, tough place to play. They're winning this game easy.
Yeah, I got Georgia easy. I mean, Ole Miss is not a top 10 football team in this country. Like, I disagree with that ranking as well. Jackson Dart, not great. You saw what, Alabama did to Ole Miss, just absolutely punched him in the mouth second half of the game. We saw Georgia do the same thing to South Carolina early in the season, granted a much inferior team, but we know that Georgia has that ability to just punch you in the mouth second half. Even if Ole Miss comes out hot, Georgia's just got the dogs. The trenches is just going to be crazy in favor of the team from Athens. So I'm going to go Georgia pretty big.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you on the script. I'm going to go Georgia, but I think Ole Miss starts out on top. They're a team that they're a team that like to punch you in the mouth too. They strive off chaos, love their offense, but at the end of the day, I think, you're going to get a Kirby Smart halftime speech. Georgia comes out, shuts Ole Miss out the second half, and I think the Bulldogs are the number 1 team in the nation by Saturday night. But I'm going to go with Georgia. We'll get a full clean sweep here. Now, we got a cool question that I thought about for y'all. So the top 4 of the college football playoff right now is Ohio State, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State, 1 through 4 respectively. Now, the question for y'all is, what non-top 4 team has the best chance of making the college football playoff, if there's any? If there's any, because you got Washington, Oregon, Texas, Bama. Who do you guys think?
I'll go first.
You got it.
I did get to bounce back. I got all my capitals in and they're in the line. It's good, all right? But I'm going Washington. I just absolutely love Washington. Like I said before, I can't talk enough about them. So I'm going to keep this one short. But I think they're going to do well. I think 1 slip up from one of the top 4 teams, and Washington goes right into that slot. And same thing with Oregon. I think if it's 2 slip ups, it's going to be Oregon. But I'm going Washington.
I'm going Bama. I really wanted to put Washington, but their upcoming schedule is Utah, Oregon State, and then Washington State. Then in the Pac-12 championship.
Dude, the only way they win is if they beat Georgia.
That's exactly.
They only have to beat Georgia. Bama has Chattanooga coming up. Their hardest game is going to be against Auburn in the rest of the regular season, and all they have to do is beat Georgia. Washington has to beat Oregon. If Washington loses,
I don't have Washington. I think that's a better pick than Washington because the Pac-12 is crazy good.
Yes, but I think Washington. If Washington loses 1 game, they're out. So
I think it's just going to be whoever wins that title game.
Yeah, exactly. So if Washington loses, I think
Bama
has a better chance at beating Georgia than Washington has at beating Oregon a second time. And Washington can't slip up these next 2 weeks. Washington could easily lose to Utah or Oregon State.
Yeah.
Or even Washington State. The Apple Cup, things can happen.
Apple Cup gets crazy.
So that's why I have Alabama going up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Texas. I mean, I think the Big 12 is just wide open now for Texas just to go straight through. I mean, they're probably what? They're going to fake Oklahoma State in the title game, or because Oklahoma's dead.
Yeah,
like they got two losses. It's probably going to be Oklahoma State or maybe Kansas, something like that. They whipped on Kansas. So I think it's just a really easy path for Texas to get in. They have that Bama win, which right now, according to, I believe, FPI is the best win in the country, in terms of strength of schedule value.
Oh, for sure.
So I think, and that, they lost a close rivalry game to Oklahoma, at the Cotton Bowl. I don't think that the committee is going to kill them too much for that. So I think they go 12-1. They're in the playoff.
And they beat Alabama by 14, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
So do you
That's a
have
great win.
if Bama beats Georgia but Texas wins the Big 12? Do you have Texas over Bama?
I have Washington.
That's really tough,
That's
right?
the question.
Yeah, that's
because
really
I think
tough.
that's the format, and that's what they're going to have to decide. Because if Washington's undefeated, FSU's undefeated, and Michigan's undefeated.
I think
and
based
Ohio
on
State.
head-to-head, I think, this is just me thinking, I think based on head-to-head, you'd have to put Texas in.
You'd have to put Texas.
But here's the thing: there's no way that the committee's not going to put an
College
SEC
football
team.
loves Bama.
But there's no way that the team's not going to
Yes.
put an SEC team in the playoff.
My question-
So it's going to be Texas and Bama. I don't think there'd
Yeah,
be.
no.
I don't think there would ever be a situation where it's either or. It would be the winner of the SEC and Texas.
Do you think Georgia and Bama could both get in?
They could. You need a lot to happen, though.
Yes.
You would need Texas to lose, Pac-12 to cannibalize itself. Yeah.
My question to you guys is, do you think any team in the top 4 is safe no matter what happens? Whether
The winner of the Big
Ohio
Ten.
State or Michigan.
I don't. You do?
The winner of the Big
Ohio
Ten,
State or
100%.
Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
You think they are safe? Okay.
As long as
Whoever
Michigan does
whoever
not
wins
lose
that
to
game.
Penn State, I think they're
Whoever
fine.
wins that game.
Because if Michigan loses to Penn State and then Michigan beats Ohio State,
Now
Then it
you
gets
got
then
it.
it gets
Then
into
it
a
gets
cycle
iffy.
type thing.
that's where I'm curious.
That's the triple threat
Usually,
thing. Yeah.
every other year we've had 1, 2, maybe even 3 teams
There's all-
secured.
What if Iowa wins the Big Ten?
Yeah.
What if Iowa wins the Big
It's
Ten?
also crazy.
Maryland
It's
guys.
also
7-3.
we have five
Rutgers.
undefeated teams right now that could stay undefeated.
Totally.
For sure.
It's an awesome season
Wait,
of college football.
no.
Last week was
Michigan and
probably
Ohio State can't
electric,
stand
the
it.
Last
most
week was
electric
awesome.
league. So I love
we
college
could have
football.
4 undefeated teams go in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Washington, because Ohio State or Michigan has to lose.
FSU.
Right, so that won't happen.
But-
So Washington,
so
FSU, Georgia, winner of the
And
Big
you're not
Ten.
putting a one-loss team over any of those undefeated teams.
No, it'd be
So if-
Washington,
Yeah,
Georgia, FSU, and the winner of the Big
yeah.
Ten. Yeah.
Okay, so if they win, if that Big Ten comes down to Michigan and Ohio State, which it probably will, and then Washington stays undefeated, but Michigan or Ohio State's beaten, you're thinking they're going to keep it undefeated into the playoffs?
Yeah.
They will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially
I'm
because
just
all the
curious.
undefeated teams right
'Cause we
now
need
have a
strength
good
of
enough
schedule. You talk about, like,
strength of schedule to make the argument that
I think there would be more of an argument with Ohio State than Michigan,
Yes.
probably.
To be in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Ohio State I believe has the number 9 strength
have
of
the
schedule
Notre Dame
in the.
win.
They have the number 9
Notre
strength of
Dame
schedule in the country, and they have the Penn State win. And
Yeah.
if they beat Michigan, they're going to
They'll
have
have
the Michigan win.
Well, if you think Michigan gets caught for the scandal, do they get put out of
No.
No.
It doesn't
No,
get
absolutely
Would
not.
that affect them next
their
year?
lawyers are going to make sure they play.
But also, the committee does not care about the scandal.
No.
Okay, so that doesn't matter.
It's all this year's strength of schedule. That's what they
Right.
said.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. We'll do 4 separate teams. I love Oregon. I thought I picked them to beat Washington. I was wrong, but I think that if I mean this is another put your hat in the ring, see what happens. What happens if Oregon beats Washington on a neutral field? Then what do you do? What are you gonna do? Washington or Oregon? I mean I think you
Oregon.
have to go with the Pac-12
Yeah.
champion.
Yeah.
What would happen with Bama? What would happen with Texas? Honestly, I think we got to take it week by week first, but
Right.
I like Oregon. I like their offense. I think it's dynamic. I think their defense does the job for the time being. I love Dan Lanning as a coach, and I think that they have all the tools they need to be a playoff team.
This could either be the easiest decision for the committee ever or one of the hardest.
Hardest, yeah.
And
No one picked Clemson. Gonna win, guys. No.
maybe
You're going to a bowl, though. I have a strong belief.
Well,
yeah, we will.
We have to win one game.
We got to beat Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, South Carolina, or North Carolina. So one of those.
8-4, baby.
Anywho,
I believe it.
we're going to move on to our next segment of our show called the hashtag game. We got 4 big prompts because it was a busy week in sports. And why don't we start with men's college basketball? We'll talk about James Madison, probably the story of college sports. Stunning Michigan State at home, first day of the college basketball. Michigan State was one of the top teams that could have won it all. Lost in overtime, 79-76. I mean, I've said everything I need to say. What's your guys' hashtag to this?
Brian, I want to see what
yeah,
you
you got it.
I'm so excited because my sister goes to JMU
Yeah.
and they've been so down. Like, they haven't been down bad. They've been winning well, but they just haven't gotten the publicity yet.
No.
And finally, I love me and Toby too because I know Toby's
Yep.
from J.
Yeah.
Finally, they're getting the publicity. 9-0 as a football team. They went and beat the number 4 ranked basketball team, which a lot of people are saying was a really good team, which
Yeah,
they are.
they
but
are a good
They
team.
got beat. And on top of that, their soccer team, if I'm correct,
Yeah, they beat
the
UCF.
number 1
Yeah.
team in the nation.
Yep.
This is a hashtag everything school. All right. I am pumped. I am excited.
This is a JMU
The purple-
panel.
Yes, it
the
is.
I
purple
love
and
JMU
gold-
on this
Yes, it is.
panel.
Switch the orange with the gold for today because the purple and gold reign supreme. The Dukes are an everything school. I love them.
I love the JMU.
Absolutely.
sorry.
I'm sticking with that road. Let them bowl. I mean, obviously they can't.
Yeah.
Obviously they can't.
They appealed
but
it, though.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna make the change. It's the rule, but it'd be really exciting. Or if they get in
be
by
cool.
technicality,
Yeah.
because
Six lost
yes,
teams.
Yeah.
12-0 team. Like,
So
that'd be crazy.
So it's really exciting just to have them get the publicity because they have been good and they've really started to work on their athletics and being from there, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But going to the Michigan State loss, I don't think it's a big deal for Michigan State.
No.
Tom Izzo schedules tough opponents early in the season so that his players are ready when it comes time to March Madness.
JMU
is a very good
JMU
basketball
was
team.
projected to win the conference, I believe.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
a very,
Yes.
very
Yes.
solid basketball
Yeah.
team. They've made big upsets like this before.
Right.
It's not a surprise. I mean, it's a surprise.
it's a surprise.
but
It's not an
a surprise.
embarrassment.
Yeah, it's so.
It's like the cherry on top this
Yeah,
fall.
Yeah.
it's just really exciting for JMU.
Yeah, so I'm a JMU guy. I know Brian's sister goes there. Toby's from there. I got a lot of family that goes there. You know, like my cousin, she goes there. I love it. It's really cool. You know, it's the drive straight down from New Jersey to here. It's the halfway point. See the beautiful stadium on the right. Love JMU. I went hashtag family ties. So the head coach of JMU is actually Tom Izzo's nephew, I believe.
Yep.
So Thanksgiving Day coming up, 2 weeks now. That's going to be pretty interesting. He's like, hey, what about that 2-3 trap at 14:36 in the game? Like, something like that. So I think that's pretty cool. Great for JMU.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Toby. Just give him the ball, please. I mean, this is an everything school. Funny enough, I got friends that go there as well. Being from New Jersey as well, my brother is actually touring James Madison this weekend.
Oh, he's locked in now.
Yeah, so he.
They win the game, he's got to go.
He's there, but I think, like you said, with Michigan State, I mean, Tom Izzo's better as the season goes on. I mean, you're gonna get tough opponents, and we'll talk about another one of Tom Izzo's opponents later on. But yeah, I think James Madison is. It's a great day to beat Duke. It's been a great year.
Give them that G5 New Year's Six bowl.
Oh,
I'm shocked
they
no
go
one went,
12-0. They can't go to the conference championship game, right? Because
We should have picked them for the team to most likely get in the top 4.
Denver Liberty.
But there was one that was like hashtag
Air
free
Force.
JMU. Have you seen that hashtag go around?
Yes, I
No,
have.
I'm shocked none of us picked it, but who cares? It's JMU, baby.
Anywho, let's move on to women's basketball. LSU. I mean, the reigning champion. They brought in a couple of transfers as well. Consensus #1 team in the country. They lost by 14 points to the number 20 team in the country, the Colorado Buffaloes. This is the only time we're not talking about Deion Sanders and Colorado football. It's Colorado's women's basketball. How about that? The number 20 team in the country. What do you guys' hashtag to this?
Hashtag benefiting the sport. This game would not have the publicity or anything that it would have had if LSU had won. And I actually think women's basketball has gotten a lot of publicity throughout the start of the season. There was that USC player that did the crazy behind the back spin move into layup that was all over ESPN. And I think this is really good to bring some excitement to the game. The game was an exciting game. Watching the highlights, sometimes it can be a little bit boring, but this was an exciting game. I was into the highlights, and I think it's great that they're getting more publicity, especially for an upset like this, because I think it's going to bring more viewers to the sport. And LSU not just dominating college basketball will be really exciting when it comes time for March Madness.
Yeah, I went hashtag they see you now. Angel Reese, the famous to Kendrick Clark. They see you now. I mean, shout out to Colorado. Shout out to LSU. They're an unbelievable team. Angel Reese. I love Angel Reese. I think she's great. But they you talk it, you get it back, right? So, and I love Caitlin Clark, too. I just think women's basketball is totally rolling right now. I mean, I went to the Clemson game at 11 a.m. On Monday just to we had for one of our
Sports
classes.
News Media?
Sports News Media. Yeah, we supported our
awesome.
classmate Michaela Elmore, and she was one of the starting forwards, and she killed it. They didn't give her the ball enough. I'm just kidding. But she got a bucket. We went crazy. I love women's basketball. It's super fun.
You and 5,000 other elementary schoolers. And
Yeah, me and Brian were going nuts, singing Ski Yee, yeah.
You see me and you want.
Okay, let's not get copyrighted.
Yeah, so just for satire, I'm going to do the hashtag Prime Effect. But yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head when it comes to women's basketball. I think ever since, the Caitlin Clark taking down South Carolina, the whole Angel Reese, I think it is the best time to be a women's college basketball fan. I love the publicity that it has. I think that is been something that's been needed to kind of grow, and I'm really happy that it has. But I think LSU are going to bounce back. I think that, when you walk the walk, you got to talk the talk, and it clearly didn't happen there. So hashtag Prime Effect. Shout out Prime. Has to be talked about when Colorado's mentioned nowadays.
I was half tempted to do that because I saw something saying the Sanders effect. And it was like, is Deion Sanders coaching the women's basketball now? Like, what are we doing?
That's funny.
So I'm going to go off something that I heard recently. At least I heard it was a comment on Instagram. So I'm going to kind of leave because I've seen it a lot. I went less media, more ball. If I'm correct, after LSU won the championship, they were heavily into the media side of it. You haven't really, not saying that no one is. It's great.
They showed out, yeah.
But they did a lot through like Instagram and all, and that's great, show off, but you don't have to do that much. I mean, you just got upset by a 20 team that hasn't even been relevant until Deion Sanders showed up with a bunch of his buddies and turned that football program around, and now is like changing the whole school atmosphere.
Dude, you remember when they beat Georgetown, like in the NCAA tournament, like 2 years ago? Everybody picked Georgetown.
Yes.
I picked Georgetown.
Georgetown.
They had one stud, like a guy in Colorado. I forget his name.
Colorado.
I remember him. I can't remember his name.
It wasn't.
I know exactly.
Yeah, he was like the guard forward. He was nasty.
They do always hover around
Something
that,
right.
like, or at least men's basketball. They always hover around that middle of the pack in the NCAA tournament. Like, I think they've been a 9 seed.
Hey, good for the women's team, though.
Times
It's just,
now.
I think I'll just go back to this. It's simply the fact that as much as we love to celebrate certain things, certain championships, look at Georgia. They celebrated, but you didn't see publicity all over the place for months after, right? Weeks after. I think it's to a point
You're talking
where,
like self-publicity, though.
Yeah.
I think it's more about like
How much?
Because Georgia was like that was
it's
crazy.
where you're mostly focused, and they were mostly focused in showing off,
like braggadocious.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
They were more showing off that we got it rather than we can get another. And I think that's where they really should be looking.
I think women's college basketball needs to be worried though, because LSU is very well coached. And
they are,
with a loss like
Dude,
this,
they have Haley Van Lith now.
with a loss like this, they're gonna be hungry to like get back, and like it's gonna be a revenge tour now.
They got a top
back it
3
up.
player in the entire country in the transfer portal.
Yes.
They have Haley Van Lith and Angel Reese. They have the two of the top 3 players in the entirety of women's basketball.
And they have a good rotation as well. I would love to see LSU versus South Carolina as a championship that we didn't get to see last year.
Oh yeah, Dawn
That
Staley.
freshman,
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
She's
good.
nuts.
She is good.
It had Magic Johnson saying, "I've never seen," including LeBron, Stephen Curry, and all. I have not seen a better move in
It
basketball.
was incredible. It was incredible to pull it off in a game.
I'm so happy to see like women's basketball getting more publicity.
I love women's basketball.
You've all heard
Fire.
the jokes about WNBA and oh my gosh, it does this. It's so nice to finally see that kind of washing away in the college era, and hopefully that moves up to WNBA.
Yes.
I mean, WNBA is like in my opinion, like the quality of basketball is a lot better in college basketball women's.
It's more fundamental.
I think
it's
more
more
better
fundamental.
quality in men's too. College basketball is way
that's
more
fair enough.
exciting
Yeah.
than professional basketball, in my opinion.
I like college.
I don't know. I don't know if that's because of NIL or just people wanting to stay, but I'd have to.
There's like a lot more at stake.
Yes.
To me.
Yeah.
Like with pros, you're locked in for years. I
You
mean,
have one
you get a
loss, like that's
10-year
crazy. Like you get 5 losses in like a conference, like that's like
You're in
tough.
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anywho, I'm moving away from women's college basketball. We're going to talk about the NFL for a little bit. We're going to talk about Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud and the season that he's having. For those of you that did not know, last week against the Buccaneers, he broke the single-game rookie passing record. 470 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was in the last 45 seconds where he led a team all the way down the field, scored a touchdown. There's not really much you could say about how he's been playing. So, what is your guys' hashtag for this?
I went hashtag curse breaker. He could be, like the best Ohio State quarterback is Kent Graham. With I believe he was a quarterback in the 90s. It's like radio silence, right? Quarterback in the 90s for the Giants and the Steelers. I believe he has a touchdown interception ratio of 52 to 48. That's the best statistical Ohio State quarterback in the history of the NFL. So I think he might be the curse breaker. I love the way the kid carries himself. I love what he does for this team. I mean, look, shout out Noah Brown, went to Pope John High School, New Jersey, Ohio State guy. To Ohio State guy, Noah Brown career day. CJ Stroud, definitely I love D'Amico Ryans. I love CJ Stroud, what they're doing for the Texans organization, completely reinvigorated. Maybe a scrappy borderline playoff team. Who knows? 9-8, 8-9. Who knows?
Yeah, my hashtag is unanimous. He's the unanimous Rookie of the Year by far. He's been incredible. I think that the Panthers are regretting their pick right now.
I don't think it's his fault, though. I don't think it's Bryce Young's fault.
Definitely not. It's definitely not. But you look at a team like the Texans who were just as bad as Carolina last year, and now they're having this type of success. So you got to regret that a little bit. But he's just very good. He's a fringe top 10 quarterback in the league right now. The Texans, it's very nice to see their team and their organization start turning around and moving in the right direction. And I think they could be a really fun team here in a couple years.
D'Amico Ryans, dude.
CJ Stroud's a really fun player to watch. But I'm going to be controversial with my hashtag. I'm going to say hashtag MVP question mark. I know that I think he has the 9th or 10th best odds for MVP. And honestly, the stats.
Doesn't he have the best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL?
He only has one interception.
That's
and
wild.
I think that's nuts the way they've flipped the whole franchise around in just a year. And don't get me wrong, D'Amico Ryans, I think that should 100% be given credit where it's due. I think that he's an excellent coach. But yeah, I think if the Texans, win 5 of 6 of their last 7, go down the stretch, make the playoffs. I mean, you gotta think about it. If CJ Stroud's gonna be your MVP, do I think it's gonna happen? No, but is it fun to think about? Like Brock Purdy a few weeks ago, absolutely.
So, I have quite a few thoughts. The 14-1 ratio I just saw was tied with Tom Brady in a rookie's first few starts or something like that, or best throughout a season. Actually, no, I think it was Tom Brady's whole career. It's best out of a season, 14-1. The Bryce Young. Did you hear about the Texans actually wanted Bryce Young originally? They had a deal in place with the Panthers, but then the Panthers took DJ Moore and the Bears. So Bryce Young could have been on the Texans. I remember hearing that. I saw that as well. And then finally, it doesn't help with the Panthers. Sorry, I just had a lot of It doesn't help with the Panthers when Adam Thielen says, "I feel like we can compete," and then they go out and go 0-6. So it doesn't help that.
He's a stud too. He's balling.
Yeah.
Oh, he is, absolutely.
Well.
But I'm it just didn't help.
Yeah,
It made it seem so much worse because of how high the expectations were. I absolutely love the Texans rookie class. I mean, it is impressive. I mean, we're forgetting about Will Anderson. He's not even getting as much publicity.
Dude, they got a couple
Tank Dell and
late,
CJ Stroud.
Tank Dell, yeah.
It's insane.
They got a DB too in the 4th round. He's balling right now.
Oh, they did. And obviously you have Derek Stingley, who's still young. But I mean, the rookie class alone, like you said, the DB. I mean, it's just insane. Now, I had a lot of hashtags. I first went hashtag finally. I was with David. I was like, they finally have an Ohio State quarterback. The turnaround song meme is finally hit. All right, we finally found that whoever the Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Greg Heffner. Greg. We finally found Greg. All right, he's good. He works. The other one I was going to do was hashtag top 10. I think CJ Stroud has solidified himself as a top 10 QB. If I'm thinking maybe at the highest 8 in rankings, I wouldn't say he's top 5. I wouldn't say he's top 7. I would say he's probably at the 8 to 10 range. Yep. He's finally solidified himself there. And the last thing I want to say, just a question mark, hashtag 2023 playoffs? Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe. Right now it's 4 AFC North teams, which is insane because no division's ever done that. Could the Texans sneak in? They have the Jags, but I mean, if you win out, you have the Colts and the Titans to play. I think they have one more game against each of them. There could be a possibility there.
I mean, for sure, they'd have to run the table though, because you have the AFC East, you have the Bills, which they'll flip a switch for sure. You got the Chargers out of the AFC West. I'm not going to talk about the Broncos, the Raiders, but I mean, for sure, you could definitely see that. I'm loving what he's doing. He's just been really consistent. Anywho, with our last hashtag, a little bit last minute, we're going to move on to Ohio State's rival, Michigan. We're going back to the whole Connor Stallion scandal. For those that do not know, Michigan offensive analyst Connor Stallions was pictured buying tickets and being on the sidelines of different football games. And different Big Ten teams, different NCAA teams want Michigan to be penalized for it. And then Michigan, I think this weekend, did decide to fire Stallions just to kind of eliminate all of that.
Did you see his statement?
Drama. I did not.
His statement was hilarious, dude. It was so funny, dude.
Anywho, what is your guys' hashtag for this whole situation?
Unless one else starts this.
I have it written down. Hashtag nobody cares. I mean, this scandal, I feel like they're just trying to bury Harbaugh. And Michigan, yeah, they did something wrong, but also a lot of other teams have done the same thing. I mean, it's come out that the other
Ohio
teams
State,
came
Rutgers.
together to get Michigan signed. So I don't know we don't know where all the truth lies in all of these things. I think they did the right thing in firing Stallion.
Yeah.
But nobody cares. It's football.
Right.
People scout their teams, and I don't think it affected any games in a major way.
It's just like Spygate, like
Yeah.
Patriots, Jets, 2006, 7, whatever it was.
Deflategate.
But like, I don't think it matters. Michigan's still a good football team because what I'm focused on, this guy's the #worst spy ever. Dude's on the sideline of the Central Michigan game, like looking exactly like Connor Stallions. Guy is buying the tickets to all the games with University of Michigan, like athletic department,
like Venmo.
email addresses, credit cards, everything like that. Like, dude, like, are you stupid? Like, this is gonna get traced. It's very clearly traceable. Like, it's just crazy. It's like, don't put this guy in the CIA.
Oh my, for sure.
Here we go. I'm about to add on. It kind of seems like the James Bond scenario where if he got caught, this is what James Bond would be because he's the most well-known. Anyway, all right. I went #okay. Like, does that fix the problem? Like, congratulations, you got rid of the guy who had already been caught for stealing because he looks like a blue and yellow blimp out there, like the Goodyear blimp sitting out there in a field of red. Like, what does it do? Like, okay, great job. Now you're just hiding the scandal. You think you fired the person that was the whole problem when really it's a whole organization. So I just find it very funny, and it's just. When you said that spy, I'm like, I want to think of this James Bond if he actually got caught. Like, let me buy
like
this.
MacGyver or
My
something.
name is, my legal document name is this way. So make sure you spell it like, it just doesn't work.
Bond.
The name's Stallions.
James Bond.
Connor
Stallions.
Like 00.
007.
No, I'm thinking like, what would you call him?
005.
00 fail? Like, what would you call it? Anyway.
Who knows? Loser.
They haven't won a national championship, so obviously it's not working. I mean, it doesn't matter now. I mean, Michigan aren't going to get penalized for it this year. They still have. I'm looking more.
Harbaugh's gone.
Looking more present day.
They'll be coaching
Exactly.
the Bears by the time anything happens.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, you just got to put all your focus on this year. Michigan, I think, that have one of the best teams on paper. Great chance to beat Ohio State.
He loves them.
Great chance of making the playoff. I mean, they're my #1 team for now until Georgia beats Ole Miss. But
Agreed.
we'll see. We'll see for sure. I'm interested to see how this all comes out. Maybe we'll see more Connor Stallions Venmo requests and that in the future. But that's for the future to hold. Anywho, next up, we're going to move on to NFL Pick'em. We got 3 games that we're going to be talking about. The first one being an interesting one in Jacksonville, where our good friend Trevor Lawrence is. The Jaguars are going to be hosting the 5-3 49ers, who I think have lost 3 straight before entering the bye. So they're off the bye. Do the 49ers get back in the win column, or do the Jaguars reign supreme?
I'm going to go with 49ers. This is 49er spot. I mean, this is just going to be 49er spot. Jaguars, it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be ugly. 49ers are going to come out on top. I got faith in it. Trevor Lawrence, he's been pretty, he's very good. He's definitely the guy. It's just like past couple games, like tough against the Steelers, great defense. 49ers, great defense, gonna be right there with it. I drafted him in pretty much all my fantasy leagues this year. He just hasn't been doing it for me, and it's just, it's been tough. But actually, in all reality, ETN's having a great season. Jaguars have good weapons on the outside. It's gonna be a tough game, but defense wins championship. Jaguars defense not as good as 49ers defense. I'm gonna go even in Jacksonville. It's not much of a home field advantage. 49er faith field does travel strong. I'm going to go with the 49ers.
I'm going to go opposite of that. I'm going to go with the Jags. At home, I think that's helpful. They're rolling. They're finding ways to win. They've won 4 straight now, 5 straight, I think. A few weeks ago, I picked against them because I didn't think they could keep rolling, and they just kept rolling. So I'm gonna stay on the Jags train. I think they're gonna keep the win column rolling. It's gonna stop at some point, but I don't think it's gonna be against the 49ers. I think they're gonna have a big win here and show that they're gonna be a real contender for the AFC Championship.
Respect.
I think this is make it or break it for the 49ers, for the Jaguars. I think, like you said, they have won 5 straight, but all streaks lose. All streaks fall. And I think if the 49ers were not off the bye week, I think that the Jaguars would roll over them. But I think Shanahan has a week to himself.
Readjust,
reload. They have a couple injuries. McCaffrey was a little bit banged up. I think the 49ers take this one. It's for I think it's almost like save their season a little bit because they have lost 3 straight. They don't want to lose a 4th. I think I think they do it. I think it's a really fun one though, but I like the 49ers.
I think the Jaguars are still an AFC contender even if they lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just curious, who do you think has more cushion if they lose this? Like
Jaguars.
Jaguars. because of their division.
The 49ers will they even be in the playoff
They'd be
picture
5
if they
and
lose
4.
this
No.
game?
No, they would still
they'd
be in the division title though. They would still be like up for the division grab.
Yeah,
because-
but they'd be below the
They would-
Seahawks right
yeah.
now.
They'd be below Seattle, yes.
I believe they would.
I
probably
mean,
be the
I
seventh
think
seed.
they'll beat Seattle in the division as a
well,
Seattle.
Seattle's 5-4, aren't they?
Seattle, or I think they're 6-3.
Yeah, Seattle
Yeah,
6
right?
3.
6
No, because didn't the Ravens beat them?
Yes.
They were 6-2.
No,
They,
they're
they
5
were.
and 2.
Oh, so they're 5 and 3.
Yeah. Oh, so they're 5
and
And
3
the
and a
bye,
bye,
yeah.
Okay.
So there's something in there.
Nah.
The 49ers would be technically below them.
Who do the
So
Seahawks
they'd
play?
technically be out of the
I mean, that's just like an interesting thought. Anyway,
The 49ers will beat the Seahawks in the division.
Right.
No question.
yeah, it's tough. Like I'm sitting here going back and forth, and I'm like Jacksonville 49ers. Jacksonville's on the hot streak. They haven't had their bye yet. They went on to 2 London, had the bye, or I think they had a bye, or maybe they did. I don't remember exactly. But as much as I want to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars for their streak, it's hard to picture not only 4 straight losses, but 4 straight losses with a bye in between one of them.
Right.
I just can't picture that on a Kyle Shanahan offense. And to add Chase Young, so that maybe Nick Bosa has a bad day. Well, Chase Young comes in. Maybe Chase Young has a bad day. Maybe Nick Bosa. Maybe it's
Randy Gregory.
Randy Gregory. Thank
Yeah.
you. Or anyone in the middle.
Javon Hargrave.
Hargrave, yeah. It's just tough for me. Chase Young's
Eric
had 2
Armstead.
weeks. Eric Armstead.
Jesus.
Chase Young's Fred Warner, Drake.
That's
Austin,
not,
the whole thing.
that defensive line is not.
It's an embarrassment of riches. It's
Yeah.
an embarrassment of riches.
And it's just tough to think that 2 weeks for this defense to gel and Chase Young to get acclimated with a former teammate of his, I would find it very tough to believe that the 49ers will lose. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 24-21 type of thing. But I just think on paper 49ers look better, and I think just in the circumstance, I just have to believe 49ers.
The only defense I have to that is that it's looked tough for them to lose the last 3 weeks or last 4 weeks with the bye. So it always looks tough for them to lose.
Aren't they really good coming off the bye, though? I thought Kyle Shanahan has a really good record.
I would like to say he's just a very technical coach,
Yes.
and Seattle plays the Washington Commanders. I think that's a win in Seattle. It's in Seattle too, so the 12 man will be there.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how Chase Young plays. But anywho, we'll move on to the next game, and it's a huge. We talked about the AFC North before, and this is an AFC North matchup that has huge playoff implications. We got the 5-3 Cleveland Browns traveling to Baltimore to take on the 7-2 Ravens, who are arguably one of the best teams in the AFC. So, Browns take it, or do the Ravens go 8-2? I know what you like.
Oh, absolutely.
You want to
got
start?
it.
You
Yeah, why not?
started, yeah.
So I am obviously a Ravens fan, and I'm picking the Ravens. Now, the thing with me is that the Browns' offense has not been clicking, and this Ravens defense is historically good, and so is the Browns. The Browns' defense is very historically good. But if I'm trusting the matchup between the Browns' offense compared to the Ravens' defense, or the Ravens' offense to the Browns' defense, I have more trust in the Ravens.
That's a great argument.
So, to me, I love the Ravens. 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 Like, I just love them. They're doing well, and they're home.
Did he spell that correctly?
Ravens. Yeah.
I did, yeah. It just
sounded
it
weird.
didn't
It
sound
sounded
right.
Very
yeah.
smart because I was used to Clemson, but this is only 6 letters, so I gotta warm up on that. I haven't been in Baltimore in a while, so but it's also home, and I'm not saying they're as good as Seattle's home field advantage, but I mean it gets rocking, especially when they're on a high, because Baltimore fans are very. If you're bad, you're bad. If you're good, you're good, type of thing. But yeah, I have a hard time thinking the Browns come in. It's gonna be closer. It's not gonna be 27-3, but that's what I'd go.
I think all of these AFC North teams, all these matchups are always low scoring. But if, like you said, if I'm trusting one unit against the other, I'm trusting the Baltimore Ravens offense. It's just so incredibly dynamic. When the run doesn't work, they have the weapons. At least they have the weapons now to use the air. But yeah, I really don't trust the Browns offense, especially in a division matchup. But I mean, you never know. You never know in games like this. The Browns could definitely pull it off, whether it be Deshaun Watson or PJ. I think Deshaun Watson's back.
I think it's
Yeah,
Deshaun.
he's
Yeah,
playing,
he
he's
is.
playing.
Yeah, but
Played last week.
Still, I love the Ravens. They are one of my top teams. Just overall, I think they have the argument to be the best team in the league. I'll roll with them.
So, Brian, is this the first matchup between the Browns and the Ravens this season?
No, Ravens beat the Browns in Cleveland 27-3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had Dorian Thompson. The
Yeah,
rookie,
that's DTR.
That's
which
right.
threw like
He's
two
trash.
interceptions.
He's electric.
But I
and
mean,
he's
the
trash.
offense putting up 27. Like they may have had one pick six.
Right.
And the rest was all on offense. Like it's.
Dang, because I want to pick the Ravens because it's home field, but
Yeah.
I feel like the Browns
could
are
make-
good enough to split the series, like what I'm talking like on paper. But I'll go with the Ravens here, home field advantage. You know, Deshaun back, he's not that good. I'm going to go with the Ravens. You know, Zay Flowers, he's coming out. Odell scored a touchdown on the birthday last season. Maybe they'll keep him going. They got the weapons. Browns defense is very good, but I think the offense is pretty out. Jerome Brown, what's his name? Jerome something like that. The running back is banged up.
J.K. Dobbins.
Jerome Ford?
Jerome Ford,
Oh,
yeah,
you mean
Jerome
Brown,
Ford.
sorry, I'm
He's
thinking
banged
Ravens.
up,
Yeah.
and then Kareem Hunt was okay last week. So it's like they're not at full strength. Amari Cooper's been kind of quiet. I'm gonna go with the Ravens at home.
Keaton Mitchell's been a nice surprise.
That's really cool.
I've been vying for him to play, and they finally
You've
put
been
him
saying
in.
that on the show.
Is he this main running back this week again?
Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay, so
Edwards
Sean-
is back.
No, Edwards has always been there.
Okay.
So Edwards will probably be like the goal to go, like 20 red zone type
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
1 yard, 2 yard. Keaton Mitchell will probably be 20 to 20, but they're gonna have a rotation. They said they're gonna have a rotation.
Okay.
What was it?
Mitchell
Last,
had
last
nine
week,
carries.
9 carries,
9 carries.
138 yards, 2
That's
touchdowns.
he tore us
15.3.
apart. He tore the Seahawks apart.
15.3 yards per carry. It's
They
just
always
absolutely
have. They
insane.
always have a rotation.
I think the Ravens are very good, but I'm going to go against the panel with the Browns.
Thank you.
I think somebody had to pick them. Deshaun Watson honestly looked pretty decent last week.
Last week, yeah.
Like nothing incredible, but pretty decent. I do think because it's such a rivalry, they want to split this.
You also got to think about who the Browns played last week.
Yeah, that's fair. But I just feel like they might be able to do something. They do have a very good defense, and the Ravens' offense is streaky. They obviously can be very dominant, like we saw last week. But they could get in a cold streak, and I think that might happen next week. I just like the Browns in this for some reason.
Yeah, for sure. Switching gears to another potential AFC in the hunt playoff team. We're going to be talking about the 4-4 Los Angeles Chargers. They'll be hosting one of the most exciting teams in football, being the 6-2 Detroit Lions in Inglewood. Do the Chargers take this one, or do the Lions move on to 7-2?
I got the Lions. Justin Herbert is not 100% going into this game. Brandon Staley, who knows what's going on with him.
Yeah.
And the Lions are a very solid football team. I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl. I don't know if they'll even make the NFC Championship, but I think they have a very solid football team that can go out there and win a game that they're supposed to win.
Very well-rounded
Yes,
team.
yes.
And like when
Nothing incredible.
And what you said is the main reason why I'm picking the Lions is I got Dan Campbell in one corner.
Yep.
And I got Brandon Staley in the other.
You're taking Dan Campbell.
Taking Dan Campbell.
So,
I'd rather bite kneecaps.
and there's no home field advantage for
Grass.
the Chargers.
Right.
Like, it
True.
doesn't exist.
Also, Jared Goff, great quarterback.
Yeah.
He's back.
I love Jared Goff.
He's
as a
back.
quarterback.
He's just consistent.
Proved everybody wrong.
Yeah.
He's consistent.
For sure. Oh, you took Lions?
Yeah, Lions.
Yeah, I'll take the Lions too. They're just a gritty team that nobody wants to play. I think that's the best way that you could put it. They're extremely well coached. I love Dan Campbell. I hope he wins Coach of the Year. He's a top contender. I just love this Lions team. Top to bottom, they have dogs. They know how to win football games, and especially away from home, I think that they'll do it.
I'm rounding this off.
Nice.
I'm going Lions. It's like what David said. You have knee biter, grass eater. Like, what are you gonna pick? And I'm going knee biter. I think that the tenacity, the aggression that Dan Campbell brings, I just love it. I think Lions beat him in every aspect pretty much. I mean, Justin Herbert is a better quarterback, but if you look at the overall offense, defense, special teams, I'm picking Lions.
Quarterback isn't like the key factor in winning this game, right?
No,
so it's
no,
like
no.
Goff good, Herbert better, but like that's not what's going to win you
Chargers
this game.
defense is basically a a turning door or whatever.
Oh, a turnstile?
Yep.
Just
So
goes like that.
revolving door.
Hey, you come in, it's like Oprah. So like I'm sitting there and I trust the
You get
Lions
a
better. There is
touchdown, and you get a touchdown.
and I just do not trust the Chargers. I don't trust their home field advantage. There is no home field advantage. They're not the Los Angeles Chargers. They are just the Chargers. There's
Yeah.
nothing there. So I trust the Lions. There was another quip I wanted to say, but I can't remember it. So I'm just gonna leave it off that. But I'm going Lions.
For sure, yeah. Three really fun NFL games. But real fast before we cap out, we got two really big college basketball games, and I believe
college basketball.
I don't know if I forget what it's called. I think it's called the Champions Classic.
Champions Classic,
Champions
yeah.
Classic. Yeah, we got a doubleheader of games next Tuesday. We will start off with the number 2 team in the country and the number 4 team who just recently lost. Like I said, we were going to get to them later. We got the number 2 Duke Blue Devils and the number 4 Michigan State Spartans. This game is in a neutral site. I believe it is in Chicago, the United Center, where the Bulls play. So it doesn't favor either side. So it's just, well,
I'll start it off. I think it does favor Michigan State.
to an
You
extent.
know, that's pretty close. You know, those basketball fans are crazy. Considering the disaster that the football season's been for Michigan State,
lot of anger.
they're going to be out. They're going to be going. I think it's an Izzo spot. This is an Izzo special right here. Lose to JMU, round out the week. He's like, all right, and now we go. This guy's that doesn't care about the Big Ten tournament. This is the guy that's like strategic mastermind type. He is going to win. Duke, very good team. Kyle Filipowski led, some great freshmen. As always, John Shire, I think he's decent, but he's no Tom Izzo. I think Duke's going to have a great season, and Michigan State's going to have a great season, but I don't think Michigan State forgot that opening round of the tournament last year either. I think Izzo can use that as motivation. I'm going to go with Michigan State.
Yeah, I'm going with Michigan State as well. All those reasons. Izzo's a great coach. I think it's a revenge game after the first round loss last year and then the loss to JMU this year. He's going to turn this team around. They're going to go out there, get a big win against Duke, and get their season on track.
I wrote down Duke, and now I'm like second guessing it. I don't know, because Michigan State, it's hard to believe them go 0 for 2, but it's also not football. So like if you go 0 for 2, it's much easier to bounce back, compared to football at least. So I think I'm going to, if it was Coach K led Duke, I would be 100% in. I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan State has it, unless Duke pulls off some. I think Duke has some traveling fans though, don't they? I mean, they got some really. They got deep. I mean, the blue blood runs deep there.
They'll
A little
travel.
bit,
They'll
yeah,
travel.
a little bit.
So
They're prissy though.
they are.
Yeah.
They're always so annoying. But either way, I think I'm gonna lean towards Duke barely. Michigan State. I mean, they're gonna.
Go
have
with
a
your
lot of
heart.
fans
Go with
there.
what's on the board.
I'm gonna have to go with Duke. I think I just trust them a little better. It's a good program, and it's gonna be a good game. But in a neutral site, I'm gonna go Duke. I'll show my board.
Yeah, I mean, last week I was all in on Duke. They're my national championship pick. I think that it's the perfect team. You got guys who experience, Tyrese Proctor, Kyle Filipowski. I think they brought Mark Mitchell back as well. Bring in a new head coach. Or last year, that's just he wants to win. John Shire, really great down the stretch. They were a Final Four pick of mine.
Me too.
And then Tennessee came, but Duke has something to prove. Yeah, they won last week or in their first game, but it was against a pretty like low end opponent. This is his chance. This is John Shire's chance to really put Duke on the map. They are all talk. They got everybody on paper, incredibly flashy and high potential freshmen. I'm going to take Duke. I think John Shire has something to prove. His team has something to prove, especially when it comes to the draft and the whole nine. I'm really high on this Duke team, even just because they're an ACC rival. I'm gonna roll with the Blue Devils here.
I feel like the season almost reminds me of like the Alabama season after all the stars left. Like they were championship bound, they're very good, they're very talented, but now all of a sudden all your stars are leaving, you got young talent coming in.
They didn't really have stars last
Yeah,
year.
they didn't lose.
I mean, sorry, 2 years ago when Coach K
Bama?
was like,
Duke.
No, Duke.
Yeah.
But then that was last
They
season.
always
This
have
is
stars.
a national
but
title
They
season.
weren't. They didn't have the name.
Like,
Yeah, they didn't have like
they didn't have the Zion. They didn't have
anything
yeah.
last year.
Like
Plus, it's so tough to build like a.
here's my thing. I think if Duke loses this game and has a bad season, they're going to go a lot further in the tournament than they would if they have a great season. They're a number 1 seed. I think they'll lose earlier than if they're like a 3 or 4 seed going into the
UMBC
tournament.
curse.
It all depends on
Do it for
it all depends on when you get hot.
Yeah.
That's all basketball. That's all baseball. That's what most of these sports are.
Yeah.
If you're hot, you're clicking. You're going far.
Yeah.
Pretty much. The game after that, though, another really fun one. We got the number 1 team in the country, the Kansas Jayhawks, and the number 16 team in the country, the Kentucky Wildcats. Now, Kansas, they have the stars on paper, but Kentucky have the talent. They do have all of those freshmen that it's impossible to name all of them. But who comes out on top in this one?
Kansas Jayhawks. Hunter Dickinson transfer, bring back some great returning talent. Won the national title 2 years ago. Bill Seif, lifetime deal. I think Kansas is probably the best team in the country. They're not my national title pick yet because, haven't seen anything. But, I placed a future on them. I like him. I think they're a really great team. Kentucky, I think, is going to have a big bounce back year, probably like top 3 in the SEC. That's a basketball conference that's just getting better and better. Big 12, best basketball conference overall. Give me the Kansas Jayhawks. Give me Hunter Dickinson. Give me all these guys that are coming back. I just love it.
Especially with like Houston added to the Big 12.
Yeah,
Going
dude.
forward. It's embarrassing.
BYU was always pretty good in the Gonzaga conference, so it's like that's gonna be they're gonna not be great, but they're gonna steal a game or two from like Baylor or somebody like that.
For sure.
Okay. You might be wondering why I chose a blue marker today. That is because I am choosing Duke and Kansas. I'm joking. David just grabbed me the first marker, so thank you.
I did.
But I'm going to go Kansas. I really like them this year. I mean, they just look they look really good. I haven't chosen anyone yet. I haven't really looked that deep into the college basketball yet. I'm still in football mode, so like I got to start
I'm so
watching.
back.
But
too.
I definitely think Kansas is going to take this one. Kentucky's always been a really good program. I don't know how good they are now. I just haven't seen them recently. I haven't really followed them as much. but I think Kansas is going to take this one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I'm going to go Kansas. My hot take, though, is if this game was in March or February, I think Kentucky would take it.
Right.
I think that this Kentucky team, they are loaded with talent. They're loaded with NBA draft picks next year and years after that, but they just need time to click. And I know they have a whole offseason, they have a whole summer. I think they went abroad. But I like Kansas. I think those players are more, they have more experience on a college basketball court. And I mean, it's not really the best way to put it, but Kentucky is going to be a great basketball team, and I think that they are one of the teams that will go down to the wire, but I think I got Kansas in a close one.
The problem with Cal is that his teams don't click. Because he gets the talent every single time. Obviously, we all know the undefeated team going into Wisconsin that had 7 or 8 NBA guys, probably the most loaded team in the history of college basketball to never win a championship.
Yeah.
And the John Wall, Boogie Cousins, Eric Bledsoe team, that was nuts. It's always been clicking for Cal. He did it 1 year, hasn't done it since. But they got so much talent. So you get sucked in the trap every year.
Exactly.
Is this a neutral site game as well?
Yeah, it's Chicago.
Okay, so I'm taking Kansas. They're the better team. They like you guys have said, they're going to click better. Kentucky is obviously very good. And if this was at Kentucky, I think it would be a lot closer. But I do think Kansas just is mature, a lot more mature, a lot more poised on the court. They're gonna win the game.
I feel like basketball is so much of like you said before, who's hot. Like football,
Exactly.
there's some give and take to who's hot because, like they say,
Football's the hardest sport to rely on heat.
That's why March
Yes.
is the greatest month in sports.
Basketball can swing so much so quickly in a
Look
game.
at a Cinderella run. You get the term a Cinderella run from college basketball.
like
You
a
have
simple-
runs of 20 points to 0 points. It's a streaky game.
I mean, wasn't
and you have to
there
be streaky
Now,
consistently?
it's kind of foggy up there, but wasn't there a game recently where it was like a 20-point run for one person, and all of a sudden, maybe it was the women's college, I don't know. All of a sudden that switched, and the team that had the 0 points in that run ended up coming back and winning. I don't remember what happened.
happens all the
It happens
time.
all the
It
time.
happens all the
But
time.
I thought there was a recent one that was big.
Last season for sure, yeah.
Last season, it's just it's so hard to predict because you don't know when those runs come out. You don't know how many they have. You don't know what the burst. It's just all that stuff.
No, but if there was one tournament that you would have to watch for the rest of your life, it'd have to be March Madness.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they're the best 2 days in sports.
Not even 2 days. I like the Sweet 16. I like the Elite. You get the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and you're still going. And then
You got the Cinderella. You got the two Cinderella
St.
stories
Peter's.
you're following. Who's gonna do it?
Fairleigh Dickinson, FAU.
JMU?
Ooh, my favorite is
they can't go to the tournament.
shoot. What's the one with the 104-year-old woman that follows?
Sister
Loyola
Jean, Loyola,
Chicago.
Chicago. Cam Krutwig.
Loyola Chicago.
Krutwig.
That's the
Cam
best story.
Krutwig.
3 straight years
Jordan
of a Cinderella
Burns.
story is incredible.
Clemson versus JMU is the final national.
You're just
My selection's in now. JMU.
You're
versus
just
We're
bringing
not
back
even making it.
nostalgia.
We're not even making it.
Anywho, that's going to do it for us here. Don't worry. We'll have plenty of college football. We'll have NFL. We'll have NBA coming up soon. It's just a great time to be a sports fan. So definitely stay tuned for upcoming videos. We'll be back next week with another episode of The Extra Point. And, yeah, we'll see you in the next video.